welcome back, and today I am hacking my Minx pattern to also have a leg strap. So it doesn't really require much extra. You just need another set of another adjuster strap, 2 more clips, 2 more D-rings, and I've used webbing tape today, and I discussed that. But what we get is a crossbody strap at the top, and then you can strap it to your leg. So if you're climbing or doing exercise, it's not going to constantly bang on you because you've got it attached to your leg. I do give the measurements for this strap in the video, so if you'd like to see it, stay tuned. Alright guys, I know I've already done a video on this, but I'm just going to show you how to hack it. So I've got 2 pieces of strapping. One is 1 meter and one is 1.5 meters. So that means I've just got double the amount of strap adjusters and bendable clips. They're not actually swivel, they don't go around, but they do go forward and backwards. So first thing I'm going to do is stitch this. I'm going to go diagonally down and then across the bottom and then diagonally up. Actually looks kind of fun with the rainbow stitching. So this I'm specifically making for my friend who loves all things rainbow and all things pink. So this is actually basically a custom order. She just doesn't know she's getting it yet. Now you have to remember, which I clearly have forgotten, to make sure that you singe the ends of the poly webbing. Otherwise it'll start fraying and being naughty. So I've made this, I made this piece 28 inches because the largest leg size that I found online was 28 inches. And then you'll still have the bottle as an extra bit. So I'm putting this strap on, and then I'm going to do the second strap as well. So we're just going to do both at the same time. And I'm using rainbow thread, and I'm realizing that doesn't necessarily really go, but I don't know, this week I'm obsessed with rainbow thread. I did it yesterday on the swapsie that I'm sending to my swap partner. And I just haven't taken it out of the machine. I could have also just done pink or white to be illuminating. I did used to sell this thread, but I can't currently get a hold of any more. I am still looking. So bear with me. You see, it's got like this cool rainbow effect going on. And doing the crisscross like this will give it like some extra stability as well. So then I'm going to do the next one. Singe the end. And the reason I'm doing the straps first is because it's going to get rid of like half of my hardware that's sitting on my table. And we all know I love to eliminate pieces. In this particular instance, the pieces is all the hardware. You could also, on top of the strapping, stitch some fabric to make it match. I have done that with a few of mine that I've made so far. And I was going to do it to this one, but I didn't have enough to do the top strap and the leg strap because I ran out of fabric. So we're going to have 1 long strap and 1 short strap. But by doing this, I can take all of these pieces off the table and they'll be done over in the corner. So with the strap, I've got the clip facing outwards. Some people prefer it inwards. It honestly does not matter. Just try and make sure that you do the same on both ends. So whichever way you prefer to put your clips, don't have one inside and one outside because it'll look funny when they're trying to strap it on. Or they'll accidentally put a twist in their strap because these aren't twistable ones. But the twistable ones were way more expensive for plastic, so I just decided not to get them. And the cheaper you can make it, the cheaper you can sell it, or the more profit you can make, whichever way you want to look at it. Now, instead of using the fabric, I've also cut 4 pieces of, this is actually poly binding, so that I can just clip these on like this, so I don't have to do any kind of extra sewing. This is like a really quick way. I've got binding in like 8 colors now. I'm a little bit obsessed with binding. So this is polyester binding from Vardman Threads, where I get my thread from. So usually I'll just throw in another color I'm on my list. At the moment, I've got it in hot pink, light blue, dark blue, green, gray. I'm just going to put this and this over here so I don't lose them. I've got it in a lot of colors. No, you're not going to sit there. Oh, it's definitely not going to sit on my table. All right, stay over there. So now that we've done all of that, I've kind of condensed everything down. So I'm going to put these on a different table. And then I'm going to take my bases and I'm going to fold it in half. Now, if you've got a top and a bottom, think about that when you're putting in your snips. This one obviously doesn't. So I'm going to snip there. Then you can open it out and join up those 2 snips to get the other points here. And I don't know why, but I always make my inside first, because I suppose because it's so quick. So this is that dark pink waterproof canvas I got in. It actually wasn't meant to be dark pink. They sent me the wrong color. It was supposed to be the normal pink, but I don't dislike it. I kept some for myself because I was like, you never know when you might want some. So I'm just going to stitch down the end. It's also not a specific color I can order. It was just sent as the wrong shade. So unfortunately I can't keep it in. So now that that's together, make sure you use the proper 1/2 inch seam allowance. Otherwise your circle doesn't fit properly. So I'm going to snip, and then that snip I'm going to line up with the seam I just stitched. And then I'm going to go out and make a little snip that way. And I'm going to do the same to the top. I do need to do it. No, I don't need to do it to the top of this. I need to do it to the top of the outside. Now this is just something extra I like to do. I like to open this seam out and make it flat. Because even if you're not using waterproof canvas, it's good to open it flat because it means you're going to evenly distribute the excess fabric. So I'm going to push it all the way in to the circle and pick one of my notches and line it up here. And I'm going to put a second clip in because I just don't trust that. Then I'm going to come and pull it out and do the opposite side. And I'm always making sure that my clips are facing the circle because it's going to be easier to stitch. Now another cool little trick that you can do is you can actually iron some stabilizer onto the base of this. And what that will do is it will give you the perfect circle, so it's much easier to stitch it down. You don't have to work as much of this excess. So I'm just going to work it around. So I'm holding it as a circle and then I'm just clipping it in place. And it's still going to look a little bit bubbly, so don't worry about that. It's meant to look bubbly where the clips are. So like that. I know it doesn't look like it, but it will be a circle. So you want to make sure your needle's up, and I'm just going to take off a single clip. You can pick any clip you like. And then I'm going to put my needle down. I actually need to take off 2 clips because there's not enough room to get in there. So I'm going to stitch, I'm going to back stitch. And then I'm going to pretend it's a 3D object like I always do to stitch around. Now you won't be able to do this terribly fast because it is a small circle and there's a lot of excess fabric. But you want to keep twisting this around as you go as well. So this is exactly the same as the original video that I did. And then we're going to run out of bobbin thread. Of course we are. That's always a fun one. So I'm going to have to go back and clip that right after I do a new bobbin. So I'll be right back. Right, so bobbin has been redone. I am now going to go back and re-clip everything. So I'm just lining up all of the markings to make sure it's going to fit like that. And then I'm just going to go back over the last few stitches. I'm going to stitch and back stitch, and that'll lock in the old ones and the new ones all at the same time. And then around we go. And get back to the start and back stitch. So I was pretty close. Now if you want to, you can chop off some of this excess. So I'm just going to do it over my bin. You can also use zigzag scissors if you'd prefer. This will just help it to sit in the base easier. But it's easier to stitch at 1/2 inch instead of 1/4 inch, which is why I wrote the pattern this way. So I'm going to turn that right sides out, and then I can set that aside and move on to the next piece. So the next piece that's on top is the top where the cord goes. So I'm just going to fold that over, 1/4 inch, and then another 1/4 inch. And I'm pretty much just eyeballing that. It doesn't matter if you're a little bit out, because either way, it doesn't matter if it doesn't line up perfectly at the front or even if it slightly overlaps, you still get the same effect. So I eyeball it. But you can, if you would prefer, measure 1/2 inch. So a good way to get it exactly perfect. Measure 1/2 inch, like this. Fold up to the line, like that, and then over again. And then you can top stitch. So you get the same effect, that just takes a little bit longer, but then that's exactly the correct seam. So you can do it like that if you'd prefer. I'm quite happy to eyeball it. So now I always fold it, in half, and I'm going to top stitch along the bottom to join it or baste it, whichever way you want to look at that, because it's easier to get your top fold if the bottom's lined up. So like that. And then I'm going to push from where I just stitched down to crease it to make sure that there's no lumps or bumps, and that makes it perfectly half. And then I'm going to stitch, back stitch to lock in that edge. And I'm just using the 1/2 inch mark on my plate. Like that. Now somebody pointed out to me it's easier to put in your cording now. Now my loop turner is actually broken. The little flat piece has disappeared. I have a sneaking suspicion it was my child, but that's okay. Just makes it a little bit harder to grab onto stuff when it's not clipped in. All right. So now that's in, I can put that aside. So that's 2 pieces. Now we just need to do our zipper pocket. So we're going to need our main panel, and this is a Tory pocket. So if you bought the Tory pocket template, it's a Tory pocket. And you will find that most of my patterns will come with this piece. However, I didn't draw on it because I wasn't drawing when I was doing that. That's not it either. Where's the Tory pocket template? You know what? I'll just grab this one. So I'm going to lay it down. So you need to go 1/2 inch down from the top, and that allows for your zipper tape to sit there. So this is the zipper template. So you get from 5 inches to 10 inches in one sheet, and then I've got a little hook that it just hangs on, so it's not in the way. So I want to go, and I always just line it up 1 inch from this edge, like this. You can also put it exactly in the center if that's what you'd prefer to do, but 1 inch works for both the large and the small, which is why I did it like that. But that is entirely up to you how you'd like to line it up. And then I'm just going to kind of scrunch up this end to clip it in place. I wouldn't use pins on this because you perforate holes that can't be fixed and you're making it less waterproof. So I'm going to just I'm only going to stitch the long lines. This is my new favorite thing to do. And I make sure I back stitch at both ends, and then I'm just going to hop to the other side, stitch and back stitch, and stitch along. Like so. Trim off all of the tails, take off my clips, and then I'm going to grab some scissors again. And to get to the center, I always just pull it over the edge of the table because it's an easy way to kind of fold it. And then you make a small incision, and then I'm going to triangle out the end. And I just want to go up to the stitches, same as we would if we had have stitched over that edge. We've drawn it there so you know where to stop. We're just getting close. Like that. So now I've got this. First thing I'm going to do is crease both of these sides. Because by adding that crease there, it's going to push through and sit flatter a lot easier. And I'm all about easier. And then you can just, because it's waterproof canvas, you can just come back and finger press it again. And for the most part, it should stay where you crease it. Like that. That's not bad. So now we need some zipper tape. I'm going to use rainbow on, actually, do I have in my tub any pink rainbow? I do. She loves pink, so as much pink as I can put in this, the better, in my opinion. And then I just need a zipper pull. So I'm going to grab a rainbow one just for something, you know, matching, I guess. And then I just need the same amount of zip as the zipper pocket so that I can stitch the ends into the edge. And that way your zipper pull can't come off and you can't fray it or anything. So I'm just going to feed both of these on. Like so, and pull it down to roughly the center. And I always like my zipper pull to close in the up position. So I'm just going to hold this flat like this and open, lay it over the top, and then I'm going to come here and line up the edge of the pocket with the edge of the zipper tape. Now I'm actually going to zip it up higher, and I'm going to start on the long edge just below the zipper. Stitch round. You'll notice I didn't back stitch. It's because I'm going to go over the first few stitches at the start. Now if you find that your pocket is peeking out here, you can just kind of tug on it a little bit from underneath, and that'll kind of help to tuck it under so that you can't see it. Then I'm going to zip down. Across the top. And then down. Oops, that is stuck. There we go. And then when I get back to the start, so I'm back to the start now, I'm going to stitch 2 stitches forward and back. And that gets lost in the print, which is really cool. So right next to, I'm going to show you this really up close. Right next to where I did my back stitching is this brown little leaf bit. So it pretty much gets lost in the pattern. You have to really look for that joint. So now we're just going to fold this over, and I'm going to pull this back on this side and stitch it shut. And I'm doing all of this with a 2.5 stitch length. I haven't been changing my stitch length for any kind of top stitching. You could have there if you wanted to, because even though I'm rainbow thread, it kind of does get lost in the very busy print. So it wasn't a big deal that I didn't. And I'm going to line that up. I'm going to stitch and back stitch to lock it all in. stitch up over the zip and then back stitch at the other end. Awesome. So now we're just going to fold it. Actually, we're going to zip it all the way up and all the way down because we want to make sure that's open for later. Then I'm going to fold it in half. Now there's no like interfacing in this. I haven't interfaced it. I've just put the heat insulation batting on there. So I haven't needed to put any kind of hefty or woven interfacing. I've just used basting spray to stick this on to the fabric because this will be enough. Okay, so now at the bottom, we're going to pull it in half and get some snips. And snip the halfway point. Now we need to do this to both top and bottom, so it doesn't matter which one you do first. The bottom is to insert the thing and the top is actually and to put all your clips. And then I'm going to do the same to the top. Now, I always like to put my bottom in first, but you actually don't have to. I just think it's easier. So, look for where your print is. If your print is a plain print, make sure that you're making sure that the zipper bottom is at the bottom. And the first thing I'm going to do is take 2 of my D-rings and put them on the sides. So they should be opposite each other and none of them should be at the seam because the seam is the back. So I'm going to clip that on there like that. Then I'm going to take this. Now I've already notched this. You can see it from this side. So this is batting and then this is the stabilizer. So this will make the base steady. So I'm going to bring back Scully and get some clips out. And then, so I always, it actually doesn't really matter which way the base goes on. Nobody looks at the base. And you always want to make sure your clips are facing into the circle. And I'm also going to open this out because that will help distribute the thickness of your stuff. Now, you don't have to do that. I just personally find it easier to do it. I'm going to put 2 clips. Now that I'm holding the circle base and the D-ring, I want to put 2 clips so it can't swivel out of place. So I put 1 on each half of the, what's it called, webbing. There we go. Now, because I've got the stabilizer on this, you should just kind of be able to pull at the sides a little bit and it does all of the gathering for you. So see how I've only got like a few clips? It's already got the perfect circle because the stabilizer's holding everything. But I'm still going to put clips on it so it doesn't move while I'm trying to stitch it. Because we don't want that. And I'm going to start here so I don't need to keep putting clips on. And so now you just stitch right next to, or you can even stitch like 1 stitch on the stabilizer, depending on if you're worried if it's going to come out or not. Not that it's really got anywhere to go, but you might still be worried. So I'm doing like 1 stitch onto it just to show you. It's not going to mess up anything. But it's also going to hold that stabilizer so it can't, over time, lift and move. So they can wash this in like a hot wash and your base stabilizer won't start floating. Look at that. So the outside still looks bubbly, but where I've actually stitched is flat. And that's the important part. So if you struggle with bases, put a piece of this stabilizer on this base and you'll get the same effect. And it just means you'll have a really sturdy base. It won't take away from your thing at all. So now we're going to take the other D-rings and add them to the side like that. And then I'm going to take my cinching top and I'm going to find the halfway point there and I'm going to put that halfway point at the back here where the seam is. I'm going to put 2 clips to hold it. And then I'm just kind of going to tuck it in. Now you want to make sure that you're tucking the cord all out of the way so that we don't accidentally stitch it, because we really don't want that. And I'm just moving my way to the front, making sure that I can feel that cord is sticking up. We don't want that. We want it to kind of point towards the base. So just keep pushing it down until it's out of your way. So like that. And then we're going to come the other way. And I'm still making all the clips face into the center. And I'm now going to add 2 clips to those webbing because it's holding more stuff. The more stuff it holds, the more clips you want. And then we just take the outer piece and we're going to slot that in. And I'm going to line up this seam with the back seam. And I'm going to, again, fold that open. And even though there's quite a few layers there, it's still not going to be thick to sew. So this is fine on a domestic machine. And then we're just working around. Like that. So now you should have all the layers in. We're just going to stitch around. So you tend to have to pull out at least 1 clip to get under. And everything I do on this has been at 1/2 inch seam allowance, except for the top stitching. Top stitching is always 1/8 inch. We're just going to move it around. Needle down, twist it again, and get back to the start and back stitch. Trim those tails. And then we're going to go into the pocket. And the first thing I'm going to do is pull out the lining. And then I can just use my thumbs to kind of push it all through. It is quite a big opening, so it doesn't really struggle at all, which is awesome. Push out that base. And then I'm going to close up the gap here. So I'm just going to use like the ends of my fingers to, whoops, it always helps if it sits straight. There we go. Push the raw edges under like that. Pinch it together and stitch it shut. Trim. I'm going to tuck that in first, zip it up, and then I'm going to tuck the top in. Push it down, and then all we have to do is attach our toggle. So what I like to do is I like to get these perfectly even. And I want the toggle to be face outwards. So I'm going to put it on top like this and just push the cord through. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit because now I want to tie a knot in the end. And that way the toggle can never fall off, especially for children. Now it can't come off and you can't lose it, no matter how much they play with it. So I'm just doing a simple knot and then I can open that out and we're all done. And so now we've got the leg strap that can be attached around the base. I know that doesn't look like much of a leg strap, but you just make it bigger. See, look at that. So your leg strap, and then your top strap. I always like my clips to face inwards, but it's a personal choice, obviously. And there you go. One slightly modified, perfect for walking up mountains. That's what my friend will be using it for. And so yeah, you don't have to make this one as thick as that. I just wanted it to match and I didn't have the 1 inch version. Or you could do 1 inch straps. It's all the same. So there you go, guys. I hope that was helpful, and until next time, bye-bye.